Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another exciting Propagandacast from your host, Imperial Dane, featuring a 1 vs 1 on Langraskaya for you today. We shall be watching Dave of the 310th Infantry Division going up against Ironroman of the 100th Rifle Division. Ironroman, never quite loved by anyone. It shall be a long match, so no mid-game analysis again. I rather hope we could wait with the 1 hour long or close to that matches for a bit, but sadly the pool has been a bit... I mean, it's not to say I haven't been getting a lot of replay submissions, but a lot of them have been, Monday novice quality or a bit too short. Of course, things can get a bit tricky at times. The key to remember is it's not about what you wish I had, it's about what I actually have to work with. And that can be slightly forgotten occasionally. But MG42 start here from Dave. Whereas of course we are seeing Ironroman popping out with conscripts, heading straight for the munitions, ignoring the fuel for the time being, whereas another conscript will in fact be rushing straight for the fuel point over here, hoping to deny it to Dave. Grenadier squad following up here, Pioneers looking to link up via the munitions themselves. MG42 getting a bit aggressive, and there we go, it got spotted. There is heavy snow, but might be too late to actually set up. Ooh-rahing up the conscripts, there we go, make it past just in time. If it had been even half a second off right there, it would have been game over for the conscript. They've been trapped in a rather nasty position. Instead, though, Dave actually was a bit too eager to set up, a bit too far in that sense, actually committed a mistake. And Ironroman was able to capitalize, and again, that's one of the reasons why you don't send MG42s ahead like that. If they get spotted in a situation like that, if they get caught, they can very well be pretty much rendered useless. And there we go, Ironroman realized the situation is lost and retreat. He's disrupted what he needed to do, at least he felt he needed to do, while in the west, Soviet forces continued to move up and secure territory. Had he had a Molotov early up, he might have had a chance, of course, of popping one on the MG42 and doing a lot of damage, but that in the end did not turn out to be the case, and thus Dave continues to advance. But he has been slightly stalled for the time being. Larger movement going on in the west. Pioneers setting up the center. Grenadiers securing up the rear. Another Grenadier squad on the move, and a third one arriving. Looks like Ironroman is already going to head straight for Dave's Jaguar, going to go straight for the cut-off point. Although this one is being secured as well, which means this will be a bit less than useful. And there we go, this will actually now have no effect because there will still be this point to connect this with the entire right hand side. So that did not quite work out to Ironroman. And there we go, back to see a Molotov going off there on the Grenadiers. Grenadiers moving up, MG42 stomach conscript squad up there. Apparently Ironroman had perhaps hoped the MG42 there would have shifted, but he did not. He made an assumption and it did not pay off. Or he forgot, that's also possible. Grenadiers then, there we go again, Ironroman realizing the situation is lost, quick retreats, not going to waste more units, he did a bit of damage, he wiped out a Grenadier. Ironroman continuing to apply pressure, a fourth squad of conscripts arriving. Grenadiers moving about. Under fire from the conscripts. And a bit of quiet at the moment, fences collapsing. And the combat engineers end up retreating under fire from the Pioneers, supported by a single squad of Grenadiers. More Molotovs going out of here, Grenadiers getting caught in it. Target destroyed. And looks like someone actually got wiped out. Likely the combat engineers on the retreat. Whoops. Already noting that Dave has teched up within the first few minutes. A reasonable tier 1. Not too light, not too heavy. Got a nice bit of flexibility with 3 Grenadier squads and an MG42. If he pops up some light machine guns on the Grenadiers, he's going to be quite Alright, like to mechanized company going up, nothing for Ironroman, which is certainly to be expected with 4 squads of conscripts and Molotovs. Rifle grenades flying off, killing poor Yuri, leaving him to die in the roadside, in fact in the middle of the road. Bit of a duel going on here, where we'll end up in the advantage of the Germans, as this conscript squad is taking a lot of damage. Although this Grenadier squad is also pretty close to going down. There we go, Molotov's locked after the Grenadier scout car on the way, like to participate by being sent from a nearby Panzer division, likely the 4th to support. And these Grenadiers really need to get out there. There we go, on retreat. And thus both squads, well, both sides lack 1 squad, though both have neither lost one entirely. Molotov's going off as well. Rather consistent Molotoving from Ironroman, and of course the Molotov well thrown can do a lot of damage to an opponent. Which is certainly one of the advantages of the conscripts, that is good Molotov usage can really do a lot of damage. Not just causing killing, but basically just causing a squad to suffer so much damage they will be less than combat effective and will need healing of some kind. There we go, scout car has arrived, immediately opening up the conscripts right there, tearing into them. And quickly followed up by a squad of Panzers. Another Molotov up here, and thus we do see the Grenadiers on the retreat down to 1 man. He looks to be making it. Just barely though. There we go, Panzer Grenadiers have arrived, point being secured, although a bit awfully close to the fire there. And there we go, anti-tank grenades upgraded. So rather heavy initial tier for the Soviets, also medics, which pretty much means Ironroman has expended all upgrades for the conscripts right away. That's certainly quite a bit, and another combat engineer squad. Scout car rushing away, Grenadiers moving up to face. And already there, Heinrich goes down. And a Molotov straight into cover, denying at least that bit there, but the conscripts will need to get out of there since they'll be outnumbered. Further finding out the center, conscripts getting spotted by a squad of Panzer Grenadiers, assault rifle shots fired. Center point being secured. And Mittlerer Schützenpanzerwagen pulling up. And of course upgrading with a flamethrower. Hitting the dirt, thus indicating either conscript support or guards rifle combined arms. Conscripts attacking up the west side. Special Rifle Command going up for Ironroman. MG42 remaining here. Nothing really pressuring up the right flank. Pushing up the centre as well with plenty of infantry. And there we go. The Grenadiers on the west flank are pushed away. Full assault from the conscripts. And there we go. Flammenpanzerwagen. That's definitely going to pose a bit of a problem for Ironroman and his troops. Even with anti-tank grenades. And there we go, conscript assault. Scout car providing support for the Panzers and the Grenadiers nearby. Nice little combination here. The conscripts rushing up, but they're rushing close to the Panzer Grenadiers, which actually is a bit dangerous considering the current situation. They suffer rather heavily, and one squad already quickly retreats in the face of this. So already there, a bit of problems, and a bundle grenade. Oh, squad wiped out. Nice combination there with the button grenade, Panzer Grenadiers, and a scout car, unleashing an awful lot of firepower with an awfully small amount of units. And we're seeing Ironroman immediately moving on to the mechanized armor companies, like the H-85s, perhaps some H-76. But Dave has launched a successful assault, cutting off Ironroman from most of his resources. Anti-tank grenade connects with the half-track though, less good, less good. Left hand side being secured in the name of the Rodina.
Yes?
And a pack arriving. Primary anti-tank gun of the Germans, although throughout the war, even at the later stages, other guns were used, like the Pak 38, when nothing else was available, even in some cases Pak 36s, usually with a special anti-tank round, which actually was reasonably effective up close. Otherwise, of course, there was the Pak 43 and the even larger Pak 44. And of course the Flak 88 was always prominent.
Could use some action. Warm.
Enemy forces are securing
Hitting the dirt there, moving up there. Submachine guns equipped. Still no indication of what doctrine this could mean for Ironroman. Ironroman's attempt at cutting off Dave's resources aren't quite going as well because he can't really control both points at a time. And his attacks in that sense a bit haphazard. At least we've got more conscripts around with this assault. But he is suffering rather excessively, and MG42 is finally moved away from the right hand side. Conscripts retreating. This squad hitting the dirt, not budging at all, and this squad could get lost as well. That would be a blow to Ironromans, in particular those of X-22 conscripts, but no, managed to get behind the hedgerows and escape the wrath of the Leichte Panzerspeerwagen. And there we go, looks like Ironroman is losing all hope there as well. He could get an SU-76 to deal with the light vehicles, of course, also get a bit of light artillery that way, but no, instead opts for Guards infantry, and of course he's gone for Guards rifle combined arms, ever the classic, at least among certain players. Flammenpanzerwagen in need of some repairs. Whoops. Light machine guns are getting upgraded for Ironroman's Guards Rifle Infantry. Quickly moving up, and there we go, upgrade with a light machine gun. Conscripts end up falling back in the face of 3 squads of Grenadiers supported by a scout car. No light machine guns for Dave's Grenadiers, so that's a bit fun. Usually you'd have at least one Grenadier squad equipped like that. Although technically a 4-man group is basically only a fire team. A full squad would have been 8 about this time of the war, though technically they were supposed to be 10. The Germans were at that stage rather lacking in manpower, so 8 was more the common number.
Shit, we are ready to build it or blow it.
Your orders, comrade.
Contact!
Bit of work here on the flank. Flame for a half-tack keeps that clear. Support armor core up for Dave. Full-on assault going up there. The center company is keeping the scout car occupied. Dangerous work here. If he gets caught by the MG42, things could turn a bit unfortunate. Combat engineers are getting murdered. MG42 actually shifted back, and there go, the companies are dead. Bit of a shame. He keeps losing them like that. Grenadiers barely make it out there. Grenades getting locked into the building. Rifle grenades flying through the windows. Also looks like a squad of Panzer Grenadiers were killed. I actually missed that one. Shame, shame.
We are losing territory.
And there we go, an H-85 on the way. Bit predictable, but that's Ironroman for you.
Supply lines have been cut.
There are no cowards here.
Jumping over where the fence is at its lowest.
Enemy infantry has our range. Make it quick.
Guards infantry fighting here to hold up for the Grenadiers with their light machine guns, anti-tank rifles and Mosinna guns. They're not quite having as much success as they'd like to, due to in fact being out in the open. And there we go, Panzerkampfwagen has arrived just as the H-85 also pulls out on the field. Anti-tank grenade connects with the flamethrower half-track. And there we go, Panzerkampfwagen field rolling up. Workhorse of the German army. Most produced of the tanks. Not overall armoured fighting vehicles, so that would fall to the Stug. So action from the beginning to the very end. So many variations, many changes throughout the war. The latest actually involving giving it a larger fuel tank, but also removing the engine that operated the turret, that had to be manually hand cranked, which was less good. Flamethrower half tank almost down. Panzer IV doing what it can, but already assembled with an anti-tank grenade. Conscripts fighting here. Grenadiers actually taking severe losses. In fact, this score is severely low. Could in fact go down and retreat if it takes the wrong path. And Ironroman here is being a bit too aggressive. He's using the S-85 like a tank. That's a pretty poor move. Your S-85 is far from a tank, and there we go. It is in fact caught in front of the pack. 40 needs to get moving, Instead, he's caught in the heavy snow, and he's not getting out of the arc of fire. That was definitely not so well done. So that was pretty much a wasted S-85. I mean, he got the flamethrower half, but ultimately didn't do as much damage as I imagined he would like to. And of course, that is what happens when you use the S-85 like a tank. It is not. Tanks have turrets. This is a tank. It has a turret. Turrets turn around and doesn't quite care much about the phasing of the tank. They rely on mobility. Stuff like the S-85 relies on range and other things. Molotovs on the poor Grenadiers. Veteran to turn the scout car, by the way. That should definitely toughen it up. Also note, he hasn't upgraded. Dave has not upgraded it. Thus overall making more effective against infantry.
Enemy forces are neutralizing a sector. Run for cover!
But Dave is currently quite successfully actually maintaining a front line, which largely stymies all of Ironroman's attempt to actually push forwards, since it's reasonably coherent. Now with an MG42 and a pack, scout cars also giving things up, and of course generally always some infantry. And the problem a bit with Ironroman is he's just heading with straight on assaults, which doesn't quite work like that. A fresh half-track arrives for Dave, and there we go, Grenadier supporting the Panzer IV moving down south. And already, by the way, Veteran 2 on the pack 40. Another H-85 arriving. He could, in theory, actually by now consider just getting the 152mm Howards and just bombarding Dave's positions. You, in fact, just need to wait about, never mind, I'll just say about to say a minute, and they can begin blasting away. But he's decided to spend the manpower on something else.
Supply sector under attack.
Fresh meat has arrived.
So that's a bit of a shame.
Riflemen ready.
We need to re-establish our supply lines. Workers of the Soviet Union.
And another Flampanzerwagen. I would have liked to see perhaps at least one Grenadiers would upgrade with upgraded with light machine guns, but apparently that's not happening.
Enemy forces are attempting to capture our territory. Units have arrived.
Bit of harassment. Dave clearly being a bit aggressive here, which is good to see, although a bit incautious with his Panzer IV. Conscripts were able to sneak up and drop off an anti-tank grenade in the blizzard.
Blizzard is passing.
Another H-85 arrives. Guards infantry moving up to sort out these Grenadiers. Perhaps a grenade well placed could do the trick. And looks like another Flampanzerwagen will suffer the wrath of the H-85. No grenades here, interestingly enough. Would have figured that. Ah, there we go. Grenadiers caught in fact close to death. Likely will go down. In fact, now it's going to have to run through the heavy snow. Unless this is Lucky Heinz, which apparently it was. Lucky bastard. Then again, the conscripts here might get him as the other Grenadiers are doing what they can. In fact, these Grenadiers also need to retreat. But very lucky Heinz there.
Replacements have arrived. The territory is in our hands.
Scout car quickly shifting over to cover the flank. That is good. That is how you use the scout car. And of course, Ironroman constantly insistent on attacking up the centre. Not quite having any luck there. He should try with some more heavier moves on the flank. Popping back to Dave, who's gone for the joint strike doctrine himself. And another Panzer going to escort this time with Panzer Schrecks to help with the H-85, I imagine. And continuing with the whole direct assault, and thus finding himself exposed to a lot of fire in a very small spot, instead of trying to defuse the amount of firepower that Dave can actually direct against him. So essentially what Ironroman is currently doing is actually playing to the strengths of Dave. I imagine the logic is he wants to disrupt Dave's front line, but usually what you want to do is attack from the flanks, try to disrupt it through other means, instead of a head-on assault where you try to crush it and likely suffer heavy losses in the process. And of course these losses also allowed Dave to then proceed to move on to secure the flanks as well, since he'll have free infantry after such an assault. But looks like Ironroman is going to try and dig out Dave a bit more forcefully, calling in the Katyusha rocket launcher, a rocket truck. And a Pak 43 is going up for Dave in return, knowing there's an H-85. He decides to get something that can deal with it from a nice range. Country squad dealing with the Grenadiers at west. There we go, Katyusha barrage, firing straight into German positions. Getting several of the Pak crew members, might even get the MD-42, and there we go, the MD-42 crew is dead. Grenadiers continue to fight over here, not doing too well. Oh, never mind, looks like they do somehow. Surprised at that. And there we go, Panzerabwehrkanone, 43. And veterans of free conscripts advancing, H-85 following up, but yeah, we go. Coming under fire from the Pak 43, taking a high velocity 88mm round straight into the frontal armour. There is nothing to save it from that. In fact, Dave is currently largely dominating the map. But obviously not without its hindrances either. A fresh Katyusha barrage, causing considerably greater amounts of harm. Doing a lot there. Very large amount of damage, in fact. Perhaps they might want to consider spreading out his units a bit more. And veterans 1 for the Pak 43, almost taking out the H-85, gaining veterans 1. Conscripts putting up the assault there. Looks like a large counter-attack, in fact, from Ironroman, but probably can't really hunt down the Panzer IV with the H-85 due to the fact that if it advances much farther and thus can actually shoot at the Panzer IV, it's also likely to come within range of the... Yes, the Pak 43, and there we go, he's actually going to do it. Rather bold move there by Ironroman, which very likely could end up biting him in the arse if he's not careful. Nice grenade here. Perhaps not as nice as he would like to believe, or I would like to believe for that matter either. Lots of veteran conscripts with lots of submachine guns, and a fresh barrage straight into the centre. And looks like a light artillery barrage is going off in response somewhere else. Yes, indeed, conscripts up here getting caught by Infanteriegeshützfeuer. And the Panzer IV finding himself engaged by the conscripts, quickly pulls back this time to avoid the... Oh, nice shot there. Conscript squad almost wiped out. Looks like he the last man makes it out of there, but that was pretty damn close.
The territory is out of contact.
Pack 43 probably could do with some repairs due to all the rockets launched at it. I mean, just look at this one. And of course a bit of healing for the Pack 43 might also be beneficial. More rockets, and there we go, the Pack crew dies. Bunker going up right behind it, fascinatingly enough. And there we go, an Ostwind Flakpanzer. Yeah. And there we go, in fact, Veterans who won for the Katyusha, going in for the cutoff point again, but without this, it's not going to do as much. Though now we do see the Ironroman is one holding most of the map. Panzer IV constantly weaving in and out, but Dave continues to hold up the center. We're also seeing a medic bunker going up there. Nothing upgraded there. So there we go, actually, a Sanitäts Stationen rather forwards up. Usually you prefer to have them in base, but that's nothing in essence that prevents you from hanging that front line to keep your troops there going a bit longer, though usually you might then want to keep something from shooting at it directly. Just a suggestion. And there we go, repairing the Pack 43 as well. Splendid, splendid. Conscripts launching another assault, but with a little support, Ironroman might, you know, want to do that. 2 H-85s now, and Katyusha sitting up to fire, but that should probably waited. And oh dear, Conscript Squad wiped out. Veterans free, Conscript Squad wiped out. That is terrible. Scout cars and panzers doing what they can to hold this assault away as well. But ultimately, Ironroman isn't doing quite as much today as I'm sure he would like to. In that regard, the Howitzer probably would have been a bit the choice. And another one up in his base, so he's got 2 medic bunkers now. That's pretty rare to see in a match, that is. Ostwind continuing to do what it can, and immediately coming under fire from the H-85, but at the same time the H-85 of course has to be careful it doesn't get knocked out by the Pack 43 straight up. 27 kills on it, and Veterans strong for this flamethrower half-track. Basically Dave has a lot of things he can really tear up Ironroman's infantry, and the Pack 43 basically acts as the anchor for which his entire force is centered around, blowing up the H-85s, so that's actually ensuring the H-85s can't just rush in and take pot shots, so that's quite nicely done there by Dave. Certainly a good use of the Pack 43.
We are ready for soldiers freezing. Is that a reflection of your command capabilities?
Troops enforcing, troops healing up. Ironroman really needs to change up his tactics here. Less resorting to head-on assaults, more trying to hit the flanks. Force Dave to spread up his forces. As of course Dave wants to keep the front line intact and possibly draw Ironroman further into it. We also see a bunker going up here. Oh, that's bad. Panzer squad almost wiped out. Dropped a Panzer strike for the enemy to secure. You also see a Grenadier squad here equipped with a anti-tank rifle pried out of the cold dead hands of some Soviet Guards riflemen. And the conscripts actually managed to secure the Panzer strike. That is bad news. Bad news for the Germans. Great news for the Soviets, who weren't afraid of using German weapons against the Germans. Suffering a bit there to the grasp of Winter. Ostwind quickly to move to support up there, and the Guards infantry realise this is a bit of a lost cause and retreats. More Katyusha fire. Already Veteran T2, by the way, quite impressive. Ironroman's definitely having some luck with his rockets. But the Grenadiers over here running into a problem. They're running up against 2 Veterans free conscript squads, and they are themselves rather low on health. This could easily end up very, very ugly for Dave. He needs to retreat. Ruksuk. And there we go. I fear one squad will be lost. There we go, and an anti-tank rifle dropped behind. Panzer IV quickly following up, 22 kills.
The squad of pioneers has arrived.
And some fresh pioneers.
We need orders!
And another Katyusha. Constantly trying to take out that Pak 43. Not a bad idea. And also looks like Dave has stopped repairing it, which could be able to work out for Ironroman. One good rocket and we could see the entire Pak 43 blown up. Oh! Osman actually took quite a bit of damage there from the rockets. That's a bit unfortunate. Dave might want to pull it back for repairs. But at least the Pak crew's being healed, but the Pak 43 itself does need some repairs, otherwise it's going to collapse and those crew members are going to be dead either way. Nice hit there, gaining veterancy 2, increasing its damage, and there we go. Sh-85 went down to the second shot. Guten Arbeit, meine Herren. And of course, teaches Ironroman to be a bit careful, and a second Katyusha. Looks like Ironroman is going to continue with the brute force approach, just adding more volume to it. Which is rather well to the advantage of Dave, since it basically buys some more time to drain Ironroman of victory points and build up his own forces. Usman covering the flank, not infantry moving up. Pak 43 though has collapsed as predicted. Another Panzer IV on the way. Finding over here, scout car stopped by an anti-tank grenade. Things are heating up all across the front. Looks like this might be it. Osman in trouble. One punch strike more to the rear, or at least there we go. Anti-tank grenade collapses it. Dave is in a bit of trouble now. He's in a bit of a bind. He's lost a lot of infantry. He's down to his armor. And right, if the Sh-85 is used properly, although only one and it's damaged, he could pull it off. And then again, at the current moment, it might not happen at all. Panzer IV number 2 rolling up. 4th Panzer Division doing what they can for the 310th Infantry Division. Flame for a half-track close to distraction as well. Panzer Strike left behind by the conscripts. That's great news. And there we go. Another conscript squad picks it up, makes a run for it while the Panzer IVs unleash hell. More rockets firing in their direction, but not quite hitting anything, while the Guards infantry continue to take shots, hoping to hit the weaker side armor, which they could actually penetrate with their anti-tank rifles. And was in fact the reason that the German tanks received armoured skirts in the first place. And there we go, veterans free Guards infantry. More rockets flying through the sky. Unlike a big piece. Popping back to Ironroman, who's got plenty of veterans free infantry. I mean, that's quite insane. And certainly well played there by Ironroman. He's certainly been able to keep his infantry alive, which is good. He's not lost squads senselessly. The problem is, though, that Ironroman is, well, again, resorting to a bit more of a brute force approach. Now, while he's certainly probably skilled in it, ultimately, though, it's not necessarily always the most effective thing. In particular, if his opponent is actually also skilled in setting up a defense and setting up a solid front line, which rather seems to be the case at the moment. However, might still be the case, but currently Dave's frontline forces in a bit of tattered situation. Panzers are damaged, half-tracks are damaged, scout cars damaged. He's barely got any infantry. They've also suffered quite excruciatingly. And looks like another attempt at the Pak 43. And looks like the half-track will finally go down to the rockets of Comrade Stalin. Also looks like this Panzer IV is getting awfully close to veterancy 2, impressively enough. Pak 43 did not get finished. In fact, he needs to cancel. And there we go, Panzer IV blown up, kaput. And veterancy 2 increasing damage, making this Sh-85 very lethal. Plus, of course, it takes less damage. And getting close to veterancy 3 with this. Of course, Ironroman can actually try and use this to actually deal with the Pack 43 once he knows of it, and basically have it fire a much more concentrated barrage around it, and hopefully killing the crew, which could perhaps work during an assault. Quickly clear it up, move up, and then have the rest sorted out. Just a suggestion anyways. Grenadiers moving up the centre under heavy fire, conscripts rushing ahead. Now, in fact, all of his infantry, except the companies, and I wouldn't call that infantry quite directly, are veterancy free. That's definitely bad news, since they'll be much more durable, and of course also just basically a bunch of bastards. In particular, since they've been upgraded with submachine guns already. So those conscripts are definitely going to be a headache for Dave. And certainly any German opponent who might face a force like that. And another Panzer IV rolling in. Would like to see some Sturmgeschütz, but that always seems to be a dream of mine, which never gets fulfilled. Or rarely does. And there we go, veterans free Panzer Grenadiers, but then a Molotov quickly sorts that out by bursting Heinrich into flames. Which obviously doesn't quite work out as one might hope. One is the owner of the Panzer Grenadiers. Bunker is still holding out, but I fear it might not be much longer before the Katyusha barrages constantly unleashing hell will collapse, and there we go. And getting a sniper team, interesting enough, of all the things you could have gotten now. I still think a howitzer might have been the better choice, to be honest. And there we go, second SU-85. Penal troops could also worked. Could allow him to sneak up to something and then lob off a satchel charge. But would actually be quite effective against the Pack 43s. There are definitely plenty of opportunities for Ironroman. Sadly, he doesn't quite seem to relish them, and thus avoids them. Miss right there from the SU-85. Flame for half-tech moving up. Needs to be careful though. And there we go. Hit. Grenadiers here almost down. At least supporting his west flank move there with some armor and vehicles. That's good. And of course the flame for half attack. Also Sturmovik attack prepared. There's not really much for it to work against at the moment. Not much for it to work against. Scout car remains on the right flank, covering this. Guten Arbeit. And Ironroman spots a chance to actually move up and secure everything here, since Dave is actually pulled back to recuperate. Problem is also, in fact, he's lacking infantry, and thus he's actually lacking the frontline units to hold the front line. So, none too unexpected. There we go. Finally cutting off Dave from most of his territory. Artillery going in against snipers. They do manage to retreat. In response, a Sturmovik attack going in. Panzer IV moving into flank. Needs to be careful with the SU-85. He continues to use like a tank, although this time he does have a second SU-85 covering it, ensuring the Panzer IV can't run around corners with it, or circles. Although this does force this SU-85 to pull back, his Panzer going to continue the hunt, and could very well get it. Very close to destruction. Snipers are rushing up to provide support. That is good. Finally continues on. The Grenadiers are definitely losing to the conscripts. Veterancy free, despite the Grenadiers also being veterancy free. And a lost squad. Ooh, this Panzer Grenadier squad is very low on everything. And a second sniper. I think that might be pushing Ironroman's luck. Again, I think he needs something a bit more assaulty. Some penal troops would work nicely, or some more guards infantry. Could of course also consider something with a light scout car as well. And this Panzer IV is very close. And looks like a howitzer is up to support the 310th Infantry Division. Leichte Feldhaubitz. Not quite hitting anything with it though. And popping back to Dave, who is suffering very heavily under an intense Soviet barrage. But so far the howitzer is achieving pretty much nothing. And the Panzer IV's been lost, and once more Dave is down to a few units. And I'm a bit disappointed I've not seen the artillery field officer being utilised by Dave at all to support his infantry, or even his armour. So that is a definite shame, as it does increase their accuracy and rate of fire when he uses that ability, which rather makes him what he is, amongst other things. But I can never seem to remember the name of it, which does bother me a bit. Scout car hanging around a bit there too long. Anti-tank grenade connecting, though the scout car is still tough and still able to do a lot of damage due to being veterancy free. So the veterancy free conscripts are definitely not having it their way. Fresh Katyusha fire here against the German position in the west. Grenadiers and Panzer Grenadiers and the half track getting blasted by a rather intense assortment of Soviet fireworks. And looks like the response is already in from the German army. Howitzer fires some response, but doesn't quite hit anything, as usual at the moment. And there we go, Veterancy 2 for the Panzer IV. Armoured skirts. Schützen. And fun fact, a Panzer IV with armoured skirts on apparently rather had the interesting side effect of actually making the opponent believe it was they were facing against a Tiger tank due to its more blocky and larger appearance from the armoured skirts attached. So a little fun fact there. H-85 continues to watch other things, providing overwatch with its 85mm gun. Half track down. Snipers continue doing what they do, and that does look a bit dangerous. And another Pak 43 looks like Dave is quite fun on there. We go H-85 taking a direct hit from the Panzerabwehrkanone. And there we go. That went down pretty swiftly. Punch continues to tick down for Ironroman, as while Dave's front line certainly buckles, it does not collapse, it does not falter. Another anti-tank grenade. Grenadiers not doing too well to get versus the veterancy free conscripts. More rockets, Blizzard setting about. And there we go, veterancy free for the Katyusha, giving it greater range. Looks like the howitzer's finally killing something. About damn time. Also looks like one Katyusha actually went down. That'd be right. Apparently the German howitzer might have connected with it.
It's ready to use. Wizard is passing.
But I bet the two Panzer IV can certainly be quite powerful. if you know how to utilise it. And what's more, things get rather quiet at the front line. That's no good. A fresh Katusha up for Ironroman. And there we go, healing with a fresh medic vanguard straight up by the pack 43 and repairing this time around, perhaps a bit more consistently. Oh! Katusha did go down to the howitzer, and that was the veteran free. That's bad news for Ironroman, although at the same time the HA5 that Ironroman had is now veteran free on its own. And another spin on the way for Dave, likely to deal with the infantry, although Ironroman's forces are getting a bit squished out now and again. Snipers handy at killing, but not really great at attacking or pushing territory. And that's rather what's hurting Ironroman at the moment, in particular since they are fragile.
Our lines of supply are disrupted.
Standing by. Shoots in here.
That Howard is definitely proving very lethal. And Ironroman is decidedly finding himself in bigger and bigger trouble. Speeding things up while nothing is happening this late into the match. More rockets. Going again for the cut-off point, trying to cut off the lifeline of Dave. Instead, finds himself cut off instead. Speeding the process up a bit again. But Ironroman still continuing really pretty much with a head-on assault approach. No real flanking. Country's continuing to suffer right here. And Pioneer Squad wiped out by the snipers. Dave persisting in just getting Panzer IVs. And in fact, he's down to just having one squad of Panzer gunners. He's lost his Grenadier squad as well. That's not really good at all. At all, in fact. And there we go, artillery going straight down there. Should find the nearby combating combat engineers who do feel a need to get out of there before they become part of the tank's camouflage. Looks like veteran 2 for the pack 43 again. More pioneers on the way, and there we go, another Panzer IV.
The enemy is attempting to steal our sector. Jordan is attacking. Panzer IV standing by. Confirm an infantry kill.
Panzer IV charging in. Oh dear, got too close. Anti-tank when it connects. Another HD5 has arrived. This one's still getting repaired. Panzer IV needs to get out there and get repaired. We do see the pioneers rushing into the spot. That's good. Attempt securing the center results in a Sturmovik attack from Ironroman. Although we do have an Ostwind nearby, can it provide air coverage? At least sufficient air coverage. And looks like another squad of conscripts lost for Ironroman. He gets a bit too aggressive, a bit too cocky, not supporting things enough. And conscripts getting murdered on retreat. And there we go, the veteran chief free, H85 moving up.
The enemy is taking our territory.
And still a damaged engine on that Panzer IV. Pioneer Squad's getting wiped out.
Blizzard conditions are imminent.
Blitz, blitz, blitz. Pounding not. In fact, tries to move it in to clear out the snipers. That's not really a good idea there, Dave. But popping over to Ironroman again once more. Oh, we actually moved the Pak 43, so it can't actually hit the H-85. Why did you do that, Dave? Why? And there we go. His Veteran 2 Panzer IV a total write-off. Tragically so. That was probably also the most effective Panzer IV he had. The others didn't quite do as much. And again, that's probably because they struggled against H-85s, which reasonably makes sense. Since if Panzer IVs were all you needed, there'd really not be much use for Tier 4 as well. And that, of course, is something you also have to take into consideration. The 4th tier also needs to be useful for the Germans. So the 3rd tier, of course, can't be that effective either. Conscripts here getting quite beaten up here by the Austrian support by the Panzer IV. And looks like a desperate move here from Ironroman to clear out the Pak 43, but again lacking the force. He should have done that initially, perhaps with some penal troops and a satchel charge. But instead it was too little too late when the enemy already had reacted. Ironroman in fact still dominates most of the map, but can't quite get near anywhere the victory points. And he's suffering rather heavily. But he clearly hasn't given up, but neither has Dave. And there we go, Panzer connecting with the H-85.
More of our troops have been lost.
Combat engineers dropping left and right from the severe cold caused by the blizzard. And Veteran G3 on the lighter Feldhaubitz. Wondrous work. Another Panzer Grenadier squad for Dave. Finally some more infantry. And there we go, within range of the Pak 43. That could be it. And there we go, a one hell hit. And the H-85 is hell. Or in hell, either way. And with the loss of that Veteran G3 H-85, Ironroman is suddenly in a lot of trouble. Well, more trouble than it previously was in.
Our territory is falling into enemy hands.
Really need to turn those things off somehow, at least sign off from the groups.
I am needed.
Our HQ is under attack.
Looks like the last desperate attempt for Ironroman to do something, but obviously not quite having much success. And there we go, Sturming attack. Dave moving up on all fronts.
Our command post is under assault. Enemy armor.
Oof, snipers caught by the Ostwind. And these Panzer Grenadiers are pretty much dead due to the Veterans G3 conscript with submachine guns and hit the dirt. No chance there, no hope. And another bunker. Dave certainly likes his bunkers, which is actually quite nice to see. And another H-85 went down. This time to a Veteran G3 pack, which really can do a lot of damage.
Fresh conscripts have arrived. down to 75 points.
Panzer IV here might go down. Oh! Christ! A Veterans of 3, Pack 43 can actually knock out an AH-85 in one hit. I was a bit unsure about that. I had some thoughts that it might be possible, but I hadn't quite seen it in action. So yeah, there you go. Be careful about feeding a Pack 43. And there you go, game over for Ironroman. The Pack 43s proved to be the final nail in the coffin, but overall the problem here was a bit, Ironroman was trying to directly attack a rather fortified front line, or at least well-held front line, which really didn't work out to his advantage. He needed something with speed, something with a bit more mobility. What he did attack with was rather slow-moving units, which, in several cases, with fixed guns, no turrets, which limited their ability to actually swing about, and there was also basically lack of support to keep things going. If Ironroman should have gone for that, he should have gone for a weapon support company and gotten some mortars to support his advance slowly that way to keep, more continual barrage effect on the way. Instead, he would try to rely on Katyushas, which to a certain extent can work, but at the same time, there will always be gaps between each barrage, which gives Dave time to recover. And the problem was, he just kept barraging and then occasionally attacked a bit out of set with it as well. So didn't quite work out as well as he'd intended. That, of course, combined with the heavy losses as the game progressed, rather meant Dave had the advantage in the longer run. Then again, that's partly due to the fact of how Dave played, which is quite nice. Good use of Pack 43s, good use of howitzer. Unit preservation from some of the infantry could have been better, but overall he did have some infantry. He did overall do alright. Of course, I would have liked to see some mines from both sides. Had Ironroman, for example, considered mining his flanks as well, it might have been harder for Dave to make any territorial gains as well. And certainly that was something I really felt was lacking, that and actually usage of infantry veterancy abilities, well, unit veterancy abilities overall. No blitzkrieg, no anything at all, and that was a bit of a shame. And of course the question is, did Ironroman actually choose the right doctrine for this situation? And perhaps something also I'm a little less sure of. I think he might have benefited with something like the Guards motor with heavy mortars, Guards infantry, and the T-34-85s. Again, something with a bit more mobility, but also mortars. Overall, I don't think Ironroman also put that special rifle command to as much usage as might have benefited him. And ultimately, the question is if perhaps a few tanks to swing in behind the Pack 43 to do some damage might not also have proved handy. Either way, there you go. Game over. Hope you enjoyed this match. Hope you learned a thing or two from it. If you did, why not subscribe, tell your friends. If you didn't, well, why not send a replay video? Provide some feedback in the comments. This is Imperial Dane saying cheers.